Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. Today is March 21st. It's Tuesday, 2023. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon, and unfortunately I lost some phone footage, some video footage of what I've done last week. So just to recap here, I'm starting the bodywork process on this car. The dash and the firewall are already done. So what I did was I started basically from this front corner, work my way back. So far, I've got the rocker done, that's blocked down, and I've got from about here to about here blocked down, and 80 grit, some filler, some Rage Ultra mixed with some plastic honey, which I'll show you guys in a second, and basically 80 grit and block it and guide coat it until it was flat. And then last week I got it in 2 or 3 coats of epoxy. And the reason why I got it in the epoxy is because the epoxy is waterproof, water resistant, waterproof. So no moisture, no humidity can get to the bare metal like it can with 2K primer. So that was last week. And I didn't know when I was going to be back on it again, and luckily I did get an epoxy because we got some crazy weather this past weekend. We were in the 40s and 50. I think Saturday was like a high of like 50, and you can't do anything in that weather. So it's been sitting here. It's definitely cured, and I'm going to start moving on towards the back here. So what I want to plan on doing is getting the bottom half done, probably from the peak line done, and then the top. So we're doing it in sections. This part feels really good. This part's done. Up here we had some ripples and waves, and so what I'm going to do is basically body work this whole thing, finish it in 80 grit, follow up with some feather fill, some 2K, some polyester primer feather fill. So that's where we're at. Like I say, I lost some footage, unfortunately, so we got to start over. Ain't no big deal. So that's where we're at in the car. So let me show you the products I'm going to be using. All right, so like I said, Rage Ultra, which is double in price than what it used to be. Might not be buying that anymore. Might be trying some U-Pole or something a little cheaper. But if I'm looking to do a big spread, then I use the Evercoat Plastic Honey, which is basically a thinner for the filler, and it lets it flow out better. I also use some 3M dry guide coat, which I said previously I'm not a fan of. I personally like the Mirka, but this will get the job done until I run out. So I mix it on the onion board. Sometimes I use cardboard. I know some guys say, oh no, you're using cardboard. Well, sometimes we do, but usually onion board, and you just basically throw the sheet away. So like I say, lower section's done. Let me move it on. I got a pretty nice little crease here. I might try and pull out. I don't know though. It's not really that bad. And then of course back here where we replaced the lower quarter section. Also, forgot to mention the rear valances are done. So on these rear valances, to fit the 59 Continental kit on a 60 model, which I have a video of that when I did that, you need to shorten the valances. So you could just chop them. I mean, the valances are usually about this long. You could just chop them and call it done, but I kind of like this little finished edge right here. So what I did was I chopped out as much as I needed, and then I put that edge back on. So basically cut a section out, put it back on, welded it, and then body worked it, and now they're in 3 coats of epoxy. So the valances are done. They're ready for I'll probably hit them with 180 grit, and then, you know, two or 3 coats of 2K high build, knock them down, and they're ready for paint. So the front ones don't need any work. So hopefully in the next couple days here, maybe I'll get some color on these. And you know, usually when you start putting color on stuff, you get a little more motivated. So enough talking here. I guess I'll bring you guys back once I start smearing some filler. All right, here we are 3 hours later, and I got the crease fixed. I pulled it out a little bit with the stud gun, and just put some filler over it. Had it pretty big low area here, which is strange because that's original sheet metal. But it felt like it had a little dip. So just put some filler in that, skimmed it over, blocked it down. And we got some good square footage here. That's about 4 feet of no filler needed. That's just blocked down epoxy with 180. And it has a couple lows, but I mean, this is the very first stage, so I'm not too worried about these little lows that are here. So that's going to be all filled in. Put a little bit back here, hammered down some. I don't know how they got so many outies on this quarter panel, but I hammered a lot of them down. Skimmed some filler, had a pretty big outie there. Skimmed that down. So next up, tomorrow, I think I'm going to possibly attack the center section. All around all these little holes, it's all low, it's all distorted. So I'm gonna try and pull it out a little bit, maybe with a pick or something, or some sort of hook. Yank it out a little bit, because you can't access them from the back. Well, you can these two, maybe this one if you stretched up in there, but in these you can. I think it's really awkward because the fin is so wide to try and get your arm inside the trunk, and then to get your other arm on the outside. It's a really awkward quarter panel to work on. Then the whole thing is concave, so it's a very unique piece, I should say. So tomorrow I'm gonna come back, work on the center section. On the other side, I have to drill holes. So the reproduction stainless trim that I have, it's actually really nice quality, and it doesn't use the original type clips, but it just uses regular old clips with speed nuts on the back. So other side's gonna have to get drilled. Moving right along. So I think I should be able to knock this quarter panel out maybe in the next, I don't know, I can get ahead of myself, but bring you guys back tomorrow once I get some more work in. All right, today is Friday, March 24, 2023. Got the day off from work. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. And what I've done so far this morning is I blocked basically from this peak up, which I did this part, a couple days ago, but mainly focusing around these holes for this trim. And all the holes had low spots for some reason. I don't know how that managed to happen. So I just put a little skim coat and I have to go back and drill out the holes. But that went pretty smooth. Outside of that, we got a little bit of a high right there. Possibly a little bit of a high right there that I already tapped down. But this section right here is looking real good. So today I would like to get this quarter panel basically done with the filler work, at least the side section. We'll worry about the tail panel later, but this whole section right here, I would like it to be done with filler, possibly get some poly primer on it. But we'll see how the day progresses. It's supposed to rain pretty bad, and then the weekend's supposed to be good. So I'd like to get at least 30, possibly 40 hours in this thing in the next 4 days. So we'll see how much we can get done. But I just want to document what's going on this morning, bring you guys back once we get some more progress. All right, so here we are about 2 hours later. I figured this was a good break time. So all I did was basically went in with some filler and skimmed it over all the holes, the trim line holes, and blocked them down 80 grit and 180. And started back here. Had to skim that down a little bit. This is where we welded in the patch that goes basically from here. So we did this section, and then we did this section. So that just popped off. But I was actually pretty lucky to get this trim. It's stainless, so I plan to polish it up real nice. But I bought this stuff on eBay. I bought a pair or a set of 4, and they actually arrived damaged. The tube was bent. So I filed a complaint on eBay, and I was able to get the good seller sent me another set for free. So all I did was kind of straighten these out. I figured these would be a good set for mocking purposes while I keep the good ones in the plastic. So it's working out pretty good. So right now it's just taped on, of course. So now I'm going to move down to this lower section and the wheel well section right here. This lip, this is where we put the patch, and it's a little lumpy right here. Now, of course, I do have the cruiser skirt, so it's going to cover the majority of that, but I am going to block it down pretty good. I'm also going to get stainless rockers. So even though the rockers blocked out just fine, everything is in 180 right now. So I'm going to keep moving here, smear some on this lower section here, and I think I don't see why I can't get this side done today. It's been 2 hours. I'll figure about another 2 to 4 on that one section right there, and then of course the top fin. So bring you guys back once I get some more progress here. All right, here we are, same day. It's about 5:30, so it's been 8 to 5. That is 9 hours, 9.5. All I had was a little 5-minute lunch. So I've been blocking this thing all day. I got it, I would say probably 80% there, maybe 85. Like I said previously, around the little trim holes wasn't a big deal. This back corner was a big deal, so that took quite a bit of work. And then I didn't even really mess around with this area back here. I'm going to save that for when I address the tail panel. Then I moved on to the fin. So this looks like a lot of filler, but it's blocked down pretty flat. Took a few spreads. So what I'm looking at now, or what we're looking at, is a lot of bare metal. Not necessarily high spots. Maybe minimal high. I mean, I used the Durablock and I used the acrylic, so it's pretty flat. And with that, we had some breakthrough to bare metal. So what I was going to do is, I know that the feather fill says direct to metal, but I don't necessarily agree with that. So I mixed up about 14 ounces of epoxy, full strength. So about 7 or 8 ounces of this and about 7 or 8 ounces of the hardener, as usual. And just mix it up so it's been sitting about 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this whole thing with the epoxy. So the rocker blocked down really nice. That's in 180. The lower area is in 180. That was already body worked, and the rest of it is pretty much 80 grit. So we have a really nice section right here of no filler. So really all the action was just around the patch panels, and I don't know how those trim holes ended up dented in like that, but I did mock up the trim as shown previously, so it should fit pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is just spray this epoxy, let it lock down, and basically kind of try and see what I'm working with. It's really kind of hard to tell. I mean, you know, we're going by feel, but it's really kind of hard to tell when it's so many different colors. You got the gray, the green, the bare metal, a couple different shades of green. So it's kind of hard to see what we got. So I just want to get this thing in one color, and then we'll see what we got. We can either come back, maybe block it with 180 and then the feather fill, or possibly just spray the feather fill on top of it. I think I'd probably block it with 180 then feather fill. So this is by far and by long the worst area of the entire car. I just pushed it out right now, blew everything out of here, and the driver's side quarter is going to go much easier. The doors are in really good shape. The fenders are original paint, and then the hood is original paint also. So this is by far the worst area of the car. So went ahead and tackled that first. So enough yakking. Bring you guys back once this thing is coated. All right, so here we are. The 14 ounces was able to get three full coats of the epoxy. So the epoxy isn't necessarily a filler, but it does fill a little bit. So now it's all one color. I can see what we're working with. This section looks pretty good so far. Antenna area, maybe a little bit more work. And there's something going on right here. Right there. So anyways, sprayed this epoxy at about 22 psi. So right now, all that's on this car is epoxy, Rage Ultra, or Rage Extra, Rage Ultra, and more epoxy. No primer yet. So what I plan to do, I think it's looking pretty good. There's a little bit of areas that I see that probably ain't going to show up on camera that need maybe a little bit more filler and blocking. I think I'm just going to 180, guide coat and 180 this whole thing again, and then maybe a little bit more filler here and there, but we're starting to get a shape now at least. So it's been a long day. It's been a 10-hour day, one-man show today. So yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and cut off this section of this segment of this video here. We'll just call this part 1. But I think maybe Sunday, come in and 180 it, and filler, and possibly another spot epoxy job. I really want to do all my filler work, filler and epoxy, until the car is straight, and then the polyester primer for safe measure, and then block that down, and then just one round of 2K urethane high build. That's my plan at least. But like I said, this area, this quarter panel, passenger side quarter panel, was by far the worst of the car. I did get my dual antennas in today, so I need to figure out how that's going to work and go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little update here. We're going to go ahead and cut this little segment off, bring you guys back once we get some more work.